Up next on SUGARbriety, when is science not science? When it's PR. Today on SUGARbriety, who brought the science? Bought the science? Same difference. Anyway, the important point is, do you know who bought your science? Public relations used to be the devious left hand of the advertising industry, weaseling their way into otherwise informative news stories to sneak in a product mention or even an obvious plug. While that kind of PR continues today, the big boys have gotten smart. Nobody believes PR people anymore, but lots of people are gullible enough to trust scientists, and a few are even dumb enough to trust politicians and governments. Not you, of course. Which brings us to today's story. David Gillespie, the Australian Member of Parliament, not the anti-sugar author with the same name, but put out a press release praising fiber and saying if Australians would just eat more fiber, they'd be so much healthier, they'd save $3.3 billion in healthcare and lost productivity costs from 400,000 people being so much healthier. Yeah, right. Assistant Health Minister Gillespie goes on to say that a lack of fiber puts people at higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. If Australians would just add one serving of high fiber grain food per day, they could potentially prevent 64,000 cases of cardiovascular disease and 126,000 cases of type 2 diabetes annually, saving $1.5 billion in associated healthcare costs and lost productivity every year. Wait a minute. It was 400,000 people and $3.3 billion in the previous paragraph. Now it's 190,000 people and $1.5 billion in this paragraph. Which is it, Gillespie? You're confusing me here. Well, it doesn't matter. These are all made-up numbers written up by the private lab Nutrition Research Australia, working for, you guessed it, the Kellogg cereal people. And it's in a white paper, not a peer-reviewed journal article, so who cares? The founder and director of Nutrition Research Australia is Dr. Flavia Fayette-Moore, who goes by the moniker Dr. Flavs. Dr. Flav's last couple years of peer-reviewed journal papers were funded by Cereal Partners Worldwide, Nestle, Australian Breakfast Cereal Manufacturers Forum, Nestle again, Grains and Legumes Nutrition Council, Nestle subsidiary Nestec, and finally, Nestle. Can we say this is bogus paid-off industry gun-for-hire science? I think we can. After all, Dr. Floss wrote a paper for Nestle about chocolate milk that contained this whopper of a lie in its conclusions. Flavored milk consumption is not associated with higher added sugar intake. Dr. Floss, Nesquik contains 6 teaspoons of sugar per serving. This is the maximum daily amount for women and too much for kids. So tell me, Dr. Floss, how can you justify saying this? Oh, you work for Nestle. Never mind. Dr. Flavs is a founding board member of the Australasian Society of Lifestyle Medicine, ASLM. They're underwritten by platinum-level sponsor Sanitarium Health and Wellbeing, which is owned by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Sanitarium manufactures Australia's #1 breakfast cereal, Wheat Bix. So basically, she's getting nearly 100% of her income from Big Sugar and the big food grain carbage pushers. I think we can safely label her representation of the data as seriously conflicted. And where's the DAA, the Dietitians Association of Australia, in all of this? DAA spokesperson Lisa Wren says, people are confused. So often we see Australians limiting nutritious foods because they are concerned about single nutrients like sugar. Which is a good idea, actually. It's our role as health professionals to guide them through health information and misinformation to reassure them that nutrient-dense foods such as breakfast cereals are good choices for them and their families. A dietitian describing carbage breakfast cereals as nutrient-dense. Oh boy, that's just pathetic. Well, it would be if she believed that. It doesn't matter what Lisa believes, of course, because their corporate sponsors direct what DAA says. Those sponsors include Kellogg's, Sanitarium, Australian Breakfast Cereal Manufacturers Forum, and Nestle, of course. So basically, my Aussie friends, you're screwed. Industry's running the whole show down under, from what government recommends, to what goes on the shelves, to what dietitians tell you is healthy. Lies, all lies. They're pushing carbage breakfast cereal at you as if it's nutrient-dense, healthy, high-fiber food that'll make you well and save the country billions of dollars. Sorry, ain't gonna happen. It's carbohydrate garbage. Those extravagant claims about how high fiber is going to reverse type 2 diabetes and heart disease? Nonsense. Not supported by the facts. A 2009 Cochrane collaboration concluded that prospective cohort trial evidence is too weak to be able to draw any definitive conclusion about any possible preventive effect of whole grain foods on the development of type 2 diabetes. A 2017 Cochrane collaboration concluded that there's insufficient evidence from randomized control trials to recommend consumption of whole grain diets to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, or lower blood cholesterol, or lower blood pressure. The data's just not there. Dr. Floss works for Big Sugar and the big grain carbage pushers, so she's immune to research that doesn't sit well with her employer. She continues to insist that fiber is essential for gut health and preventing chronic diseases. She also says people should eat more nutrient-dense breakfast cereals. Where did I hear that before? Even if they're full of sugar, even if those nutrients are just dumped in on top of the dead, useless carbage. Ridiculous. So whether MP Gillespie meant 190 or 400,000 people, it doesn't matter. They don't exist. Whether it's $1.5 or $3.3 billion saved, it's not real. It's just monopoly money. It's just lies. Made up lies. All made up by the food industry to convince you to eat high markup, high fiber, highly hyped breakfast cereal every morning and foolishly believe it's good for you and will help prevent type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Aussie, oi, oi, oi. Sorry, my Aussie friends, it ain't so. It's just more sugary lies from the sugary carbage pushers down under. As Dr. Robert Sivas says, what you do about your personal nutrition will determine not only how you live, but how you die. Please choose well. Just say no to sugar and carbage. As always, I'm your sweet but not sugary host, Ben Fury. Please subscribe to SUGARbriety and also please donate to our nonprofit mission to help save the world from sugar addiction, because stopping sugar addiction is up to us. Thank you, and be well.